Shukrani kwa na mpenda mtazamaji wa runinga Captain, na karibu tena kwenye awamu ya pili na ya mwisho kabisa, ambapo tunaangazia kuhusu mfumo wa elimu. Na kumbuka tumesema tuanzia 844 CBC, kwa sasa ni CBE, ambapo tunaye mwalimu hapa anayefahamu zaidi na atatufafanulia zaidi. Je, tofauti ni hipi, changamoto ni hipi, na pia mafanikio na ni gani ni bora? Na bila shaka panapo na mafanikio kuna changamoto pia, na pia kuna mafanikio pia. Karibu mwalimu.
Asante sana.
Naomba ujitambulishe.
Asante sana those who are watching. Naitwa Charles Okumu. I teach at St. Mary's Schools, Ongata, Rongai, and a pleasure having you.
Karibu sana. Na labda tukianza kwa ufafanuzi, twajua kuna 844 na labda hapo mbeleni pia labda kuna tofauti, mfumo wa elimu inabadilika. Na kwa sasa tulikuwa na CBC, umesema CBE, na labda tunatarajia mengi, labda kwa ufafanuzi zaidi kwa wenye hawaelewi.
Asante sana. And I know this is something that probably most of the parents are still calling it CBC, competency-based curriculum. But it's now a recommendation. Last month we were really given the latest recommendation that it now changes from competency-based curriculum to competency-based education. So now, dear parents, dear guardians, dear students who are watching from home, we are now having CBE, but not CBC. So we really appreciate having gotten an opportunity to teach during the 844 curriculum, and now we have now the CBC curriculum. I can see the transition is not yet complete, but so far, so good. So far, so good. The government is putting a lot of efforts, and the KICD is doing a lot of efforts, and we really appreciate even when now we look at now the pioneers, now the present grade 9. No, probably the product of the CBC will really be clearly be seen from them. And one of the differences between the 844 and CBE was CBE mainly was to basically to nurture every learner's potential. And again, it was also moving from the examination-based curriculum, whereby learners could only wait for the examination after the end of 8 years. The KCP, you can remember, which nowadays is not there. So nowadays we have the KIPSEA, and again we are now going to have the KGSEA. So what happens, what makes the difference is that every year, in every grade, there is what is called SBA, school-based assessments. School-based assessments is examinations which is set by the NEC to be undertaken in a particular grade every year. So every year, learners get an opportunity to interact with the questions from NEC. Not accumulatively the way they used to have it, that they can only get the questions from NEC at KCP level. So that tension used to be there, but nowadays it is not there. When you look at the students, the KIPSEA students, when you look at now the present pioneers, the KGSEA students, the grade 9, the learners are extremely relaxed. They are not, they're not scared of examination. Examination has now become normal. The school-based assessments and continuous assessments. Now the examination is not a giant in the room. Yeah.
Na labda tofauti ni gani? Tukiangalia umesema kuna CBC kwanza ambao yalikuwa tu mwezi michache iliyopita, na pia tuwaona imebadilisha kutoka CBC to CBE.
No, just
kuna mabadiliko ama inabaki tu sawa?
No, okay, competency based curriculum and competency based education. Education is an holistic.
Ni term tu imebadilika.
Term tu imebadilika. But look at now, when you look at education system, acquisition of education is a process. So that nurtures a holistic child. So when you put it competency-based education, it is more inclusive, it is more broad and specific to producing an holistic child. Yes, education is not something which the aim of CBC is not only acquired, most of the curriculum is acquired in the classroom setup. But however, the design of the curriculums normally they tend to bring up an holistic child. Education is acquired even from home. So when look at now competency-based education, is an education system that involves parental involvement from home. Because we have sometimes that we really need parental involvement. Some of the assignments that you give the students, they should be assisted by the parents, by the help of the parents. So some of the projects which are being done. So when you look at the competence-based education, is a broad aspect, a broad curriculum that even parents are play very important role, and parents become very important stakeholders in the acquisition of the CBE. Thank you.
Na labda tuangalie changamoto kuu. Tumetaja kuna hiyo transition from CBC na pia umetaja kuna hiyo grade 9, kwa sasa tunatarajia pia grade 10, labda changamoto kunipi?
We now have the junior school. We shall now have again the senior school after now the grade 9 transist from junior school to now senior school. Like any other curriculum, usually during the implementation, challenges are there because like when I talk about new CBC, we've had several challenges, but at the same time, the government has been extremely alert, and the curriculum implementers, the KICD, they have also been really alert. And where we see the technicalities, they have always tried to sort. But however, there have been a lot of challenges. I'll just name but a few. One of the challenges which we have faced during the implementation of the CBE is one, the learning materials. Learning materials, especially when you look at during the duration of the present grade 9, when they joined in grade 7, they had various learning areas that they were given even an opportunity to choose. For the parents whose students are probably in grade 9 now, they can remember when they were in grade 7, just direct from grade 6, they were doing what is called computer science as an option subject, then the home science as an option subject. Then when they came to now grade 8, you realize the publishers, like I was just talk about the learning materials, the publishers, they came and published textbooks for computer science, and again textbooks for home science, separate textbooks. Then again, there was also another subject, a learning area. There's also a learning area which was business studies in grade 7, and then we also have pre-technical studies. So when these students came to grade 8, they were told now there is what is now called rationalization, which means that there are some subjects some learning areas, I'm using subjects which is well known by most of the parents, but in CBE, we call it learning areas. So there are several learning areas that were rationalized, which means that they were merged. So learning materials again changed. If a parent had bought for a learner, for instance, home science, a textbook, then again there's a parent that had probably bought for a learner business studies textbook. Now these ones were now discarded again. Now the learning areas were rationalized, and now instead of having home science, now there's a learning area which is called agriculture that comprises of agriculture and nutrition put together. So the learning area is called agriculture, but it has home science inside it. Home science is now renamed. Now it's not home science, it's now called agriculture and nutrition as one textbook, one learning area. Means that some of the topics which were there in home science were removed. Some of the topics that were there in agriculture were removed. Now the few few topics, we call them topics, for layman language, 844 language is called topics. But in CBC we call it strands. So some of the strands were removed, and now after that one, it was rationalized to become one textbook. What about the parent that had bought the two textbooks? You have to put them aside. The same to computer studies. The learners that chose not to do computer studies in grade 7, in grade 8 now it became compulsory. However, it is now combined business studies, computer studies is now combined to form one learning area which is called pre-technical studies. So a lot of those are now, it was rationalized in grade 8, and now the same rationalization they are going on with it in grade 9. So that is one challenge, especially on the learning materials, has been there. The second challenge that we have faced, CBC has a lot of called digital literacy. In every substrand, the learners should always go and Google and make we have even some videos that pertains to the substrand and substrand that was taught. So learners need to go home and Google some of the videos related to the strands and substance that were taught. What about now what about the gadgets? Do we have them at home? Are the learners in remote areas able to access those videos, which is part of the curriculum design? They should always to have digital literacy accompanying through their learning process. How many students are having that opportunity to access those digital materials which are there online? So those are the challenges. Imagine the curriculum tells you that the learner should study this, must accompany the curriculum with the design, with the digital literacy, and at home they can't access. The majority probably of the Kenyan coverage, most of the students may not access. But advantage to the students who are in town or cosmopolitan areas, with them, the environment where they stay can probably assist them. But there are very many challenges which have been faced with. Just because of time, I've just mentioned but a few. Last but not least, creating awareness on most of the parents are still in the darkness. After grade 6, where are our students going to go? You can remember there was an issue of junior school will be domiciled, will be domiciled in primary section. Then we had another group that actually during the regime of the late Professor Magoa, the Minister for Education by that time, he had proposed that junior school to be domiciled in high school, and one extra classes were built at the other end. You remember? Then after that one, now it was so there was the parents were now, where will be the junior school be? But fortunately, the junior school is now in the primary section and is doing so well. Now again, how will it be the senior school be? Now is another elephant in the room here. Most of the parents are still most of the parents are still in the darkness. We have something called now the pathways. Parents are not understanding it so well. So we simply urge that public participation and creation of awareness should be done to the parents, so that as they also journey, they also understand the curriculum in which their children are undertaking. Because when you look at now, when you look at now the selection and the placement of the selection of the various pathways, we have recommendations. The recommendations which are there, one, that the selection, the placement of the students to various pathways will be done as per the performance at the end of the KGSEA. That one now is grade 9. Then secondly, because we have 3 main pathways, we have also the guidance of the parental guidance is also needed. Because some of the students, they may not understand the career pathway and the career of which they can fit into. Some of the parents, because of the experience, job market, they have some of the pathways that they would wish their children to undertake. So we need also what is called parental guidance is needed for the selection of various pathways by different students. Then we also have teachers' advice, because teachers, CBE was basically competency-based curriculum. Now we have competence-based education. So teachers have journeyed with the students, and the teachers really understand the students. So there is also input from the teachers which is expected. Now, if the parent who may not be understanding the CBE very well, how will their input be effective, especially in the placement and the guidance of various pathways?
Na labda serikali ingefaa kufanya nini kama njia moja kuboresha hayo hasa changamoto?
sisi kama walimu, serikali and for instance, I serve, my school is under the Catholic Diocese of Ngong, and we really appreciate our education secretary has always conducted retooling. We call it retooling. Means that at any time a grade is a new grade comes, we are retooled to what is expected in that grade. This one is not majorly happening in our public counterparts. So one, there should be a lot of creation of awareness, even if it involves within the chief barazas, the ones you used to have, or they empower the head of the institutions. They call the parents so that the parents are taken through these transitions which are taking place in CBE. The teachers are well informed and the teachers are well updated, and that's why we've really highly embraced the CBE compared to the parents. Parents are still in the darkness. The government should come up with a structure of creating awareness and the transition which is involving the CBE, so that the three of us as stakeholders in education, pupils, teachers, and parents. Once we concentrate on the pupils and the teachers, we have left one side of the stakeholder in education. So parental involvement is very important, and the government should create that awareness. That is my urge.
Na labda umeshajibu swali langu, nafasi ya wazazi ni ipi? Wajua hasa tukiangalia wale wako mashinani, wajua wazazi wengi hawajapata nafasi ya kusoma ama hawajapata elimu na hawajaelewa mfumo mpya elimu na maana gani. Tukiangalia mara nyingi labda kuna nafasi ya wazazi, na labda serikali inafaa wapa nafasi wazazi vipi?
Kwa CBE wazazi wako na jukumu kubwa sana kwa watoto wao. One, we in CBE, especially now, we'll now narrow down to now the coming assessment in grade 9. That is KJSEA. KJSEA, that one, KJSEA examination will be used in placement to senior schools, which is very important. Now, how is it a very, very important assessment at the end of this year? One, it is the assessment that learners will take and get an opportunity to be placed in various pathways that they will be pursuing as the professional pathway. Yes, the job opportunities, the job opportunities will be designed from the pathway that a child will select from as the child joins grade 10 to grade 12, the senior school. So one, in this KJSEA assessment, which is we are going to have at the end of the year, we have some projects. These projects, the materials of carrying out any other project usually is normally supported from home. The school will support mainly the practicals, part of it which is done within the school's laboratory. But most of the projects will always be facilitated from home. So we urge the parents, in any formal request which is requested from the school administration or the request made from the learners, kindly embrace them, because they will form part of the marks that will be at the end of the grade 9. For instance, we have creative arts and sports. Creative arts as a learning area, we have their project, the KJSEA project is starting in May. Actually, we are in the month of May. According to the timetable of KJSEA of NEC, it was supposed to start in May, June, and July. It's a project that's supposed to be going for 3 months. We have pre-technical studies. This is a national assessment, you can remember. In high school, in high school during it for 4 period, we used to have agriculture projects where we could go and plant something, and it was part of the national KCSE, you can remember. Now we have it in junior school. So parents, let us support the learners. And anything, in fact, learners are normally assessed as per what they have paid, not what is commercially acquired. In most cases, in the schools, what challenges that we face is that you send a student, that you give a project, especially in making a traditional drum. Then traditional drum, acquisition of the animal skin, the process looks tedious, and then the parents decide to go and buy. When you come and buy, now the learner cannot be accessed because it is commercially acquired. So you can't award marks. So the learners, it will be assumed that it is originality, the part of the critical thinking. So it's not coming out clearly. So parents, any request that we made, the school administration directs the learner to request from the parents, let us give them the support, because it forms part of the assessment. That's the request that I can make from the parents.
Na pia wengine wasema, je, shule ina rasilimali za kutosha ili kuendesha mfumo wa elimu, hasa tukiangalia ya mashinani kule?
Hiyo ni changamoto sana. In the private schools, or the schools which are private schools, now they have highly the upper hands. For instance, the school where I serve, we have the school laboratory. Remember, that's a very important component of CBE. Yes, there are several practicals that is done within the school laboratory, and the school laboratory must be well equipped. Now, let us now look at our schools within the villages. Do we have the school laboratory? Is it well equipped? Because learners, even at the end of this year, they must be assessed in practical areas, especially in integrated science and pre-technical studies. They are going to be assessed. There is a practical that will be conducted in the school laboratory. This learner has never seen what is a school laboratory. So when you talk about when you talk about the preparedness of various schools, especially the mashinani, it's a challenge. A school laboratory comes with a well-trained lab technician. These lab technicians are not employed by the Teacher Service Commission. In our schools at the villages there, who will be employing these people? Because are they there? So that is really a very important challenge that we are still facing, and I believe going forward the solution will be found. The government need to support, need to well equip the schools, that especially there was a school, the junior school, so that such kind of facilities are available. For the kudos to the most of the Catholic schools and the private schools, they are going up at par to what is required. And learners are really acquiring what they are supposed to acquire within a specific grade, because those equipments are there, and what are expected, and the well-trained teachers are there, and any other thing which is requested by the CBE is made available. But challenge to our thousands of students who are still outside there, so there's a challenge which government needs to have.
Na pia wajua wengi wasema shule inasawasisha kila mtu, lakini tukiangalia hii kuna ukosefu wa usawa, hasa tukiangalia kwenye umetaja kuna wale wako kwenye shule ya binafsi kama Kikatoliki ama shule kibinafsi tu kawaida, na kule wale wa mashinani wajua wengine labda hata wapati kitabu ya kutosha, labda umesema kuna homework na nini, mambo tofauti wanapewa. Je, inasawasisha wanafunzi ama kuna wengine watabaki nyuma?
Definitely it will affect us. It will affect proper implementation of CBE at the end of the tunnel. At the end of the tunnel, it will affect us because for instance, when you look at the teacher-student ratio in public school, and remember, the CBE, the main I told you that the main focus was to come up with a learner identify and nurture every learner's potential. Identify and nurturing every learner's potential. Identification and nurturing of every learner's potential needs a very close assessment, because that is what is one of the, within the placement in various pathways. Apart from only the score, you know, we have students that their score, their score is sometimes is average across all the learning areas. Will be balanced 70, 60, 70, 70, 70 in all the learning areas. And we have now various pathways to be chosen. So that one really needs a teacher that had identified this learner's potential to give a piece of advice. Because without that one, learners may end up in various pathways which they are not comfortable. However, according to the recommendation, we have time in which they will be able to change the various pathways in any case they don't find it comfortable. But in CBC, when you look at the students teacher ratio, hakuna usawa between the public and private. Private, they ensure that even the classroom, you will not get more than 40 students in a classroom. But what about public? One teacher handling 90 students. Will you be able to identify every learner's potential inside there? Inside there, you can't. So that one means that the main aim of CBC will be slightly starting to getting watered as time goes by. Lastly, what about the junior school? Junior school, the recommendation now, presently, the teachers that we have in the job market are teachers that pursued the bachelor's of degree in education, but specialized mainly in two learning areas. We have other schools that probably we have only four. Actually, we have only four JS teachers who are posted by the government, and the learning areas that they're supposed to be covering. For example, you sent a teacher who did bachelor's of education, bachelor of arts in English literature. English literature teacher. You expect the teacher to teach integrated science, to teach mathematics. Do you think we are going to come up with the good scores in those areas? But the teacher learned English literature, because in our specialization in universities, we only come up with two learning areas. But the learning areas which are there in the when you look at the teachers that are teaching JS, we have they are really few compared to the learning areas which are taught there.
Tukimalizia maneno yako ya mwisho na pia ushauri hasa kwa serikali na pia watengeza hiyo sera ya shule.
My last parting shot. CBC is a very good curriculum. In fact, the competency-based education learner is a problem solver, is a critical thinker. Then lastly, CBC is nurturing students to be job creators, but not job seekers. They give solutions in every problem through critical thinking. These are core values that are incorporated in every substrand. So every substrand, we have core competencies that we must achieve. When you compare, we have handled, I've told you that I've handled the students in 844 curriculum, and we are handling now the students in CBC curriculum. CBC student, they don't even have stress actually. And once, once a student does not have stress in learning process, definitely they will come, will vary with wide range of knowledge and so problem solving skills. The problem we have now, even in Kenya, you realize that once an A student, or that talented and gifted student misses a job that he trained and took years in the university, you see them hopeless in life. You see them, they even commit suicide. But a competency, but a CBE student, at the end of the tunnel, we believe, if at all the mood which we are seeing in our schools will proceed even in tertiary institutions, we are going to come up with a generation who are not stressful in seeking for job, but we'll come up with a generation who are problem solvers and job creators, who are stress-free, and they will really enjoy the education. To the parents, let us hold our teachers' hands. Let us support our students so that they can go through this process of acquiring CBE curriculum.
Asante mwalimu. Natumai tungeendelea tena lakini muda haituruhusu na maswali ni mengi. Shukrani kwa na mpendwa mtazamaji wa Runinga Kapti, na bila shaka tumeyafahamu kidogo kwa sababu ya muda kutoka mwalimu wetu ambaye ametuelezea labda ni nini hasa inahitajika, nini imekosekana na nini hasa inafaa kuboreshwa. Na kumbuka kwenye awamu nyingine tutaweza kuzungumza ama kuleta wazazi pia kwenye studio yetu, tujue je, wazazi wamepewa nafasi ya kutosha, wana jukumu ama nafasi katika mfumo mpya wa elimu. Ni jina langu ni Arbebonaya, nimekuwa naye mwalimu Charles kutoka
St. Mary's School, Ongata, Rongai.
Jimbo Katoliki Lango. Uwe na usiku mwema.